So I'm still in the same Staples parking lot that I was in the last time I talked to you, but now it's a different day for you. So theoretically, I've been sitting in this Staples parking lot for days, just waiting for it to open. Just, you know, and it's going to open in 2 minutes, but I thought that maybe I would put another little podcast together for you. One of the things I don't particularly enjoy talking about completely publicly is trouble that I go through, like the roadblocks that I hit. And it's not that I don't want to share them, it's just that in the wrong hands, that information can be like, I see, I told you, that's why we shouldn't be helping the homeless, because the homeless suck and they deserve what they get, or something along those lines. You know, there's definitely people out there that are very vocal in hating me and hating the homeless. And they're looking for any opportunity to find a hole where they can be like, yeah, I see, these people are terrible. And the thing I want to talk to you today is about the houses. We have 2 houses, and one is going really well, and it's being run by Gary Mikes. And, you know, if you're a follower of our, I want to say story, I mean, that's it, right? It's like, if you're following the story, you know Gary Mikes is this huge success story. He has literally risen out of the ashes. Not literally, he wasn't in ashes. It wasn't literal. He has he's done it all. Like he's a felon. He's a former drug addict, and he was in our tents. And now he's running a house, and he has his own charity, and he got his son back, and he's raising his 17-year-old son. He voted for the first time in his life last year. He is so amazing. Because, and the reason he's amazing is because that's that trajectory is the minority, is you know, it's not, you know, it's like those weight loss commercials, like, you know, I lost 5,000 pounds, and like, these are not standard weight loss. You usually lose a half a pound when you use our thing, you know, like, it's like that, like you show Gary Mikes as your poster child, and then but then like, you're like, oh, and then everyone can become Gary Mikes, and that's not how it plays out. Those are not typical results. But there are, you know, incremental results that are really, really great. So, and I talk a lot about, you know, people that are moving forward and stuff. But at any rate, Gary Mikes' house, we have 2 houses. He's running one house, and it is running awesome. And particularly thanks to one supporter in particular, Lori Beal. She's been over there painting, and she's found donated furniture, and she's very instrumental in making that house amazing. But it's really ultimately through Gary Mikes' direction that the house is as good as it is. It's a drug-free house based on Christian principles. You don't have to go to church or anything to be in the house or anything along those lines, but you know, it's based on Christian principles, and he's a Christian, and it's just wonderful. The other house is, I think, nightmare isn't too big of a word. It's a nightmare. It's literally. I mean, I didn't have a nightmare about it last night, but I got up to go to the bathroom and in the middle of the night, and I just came back just stewing about that house. And ultimately, the moral of the story is Gary Mikes is going to start running that house. I think he's better at running houses than I am. And so, that's important in any business, is to realize what your strengths and weaknesses are and then find people to put them in those positions. And I really do believe Gary Mikes runs a good house, I mean, Gary Mikes is not without his imperfections, certainly. I'm not trying to say that. I mean, we all have them. But I'm very excited. So, the reason that house was a mess is because I had a theory that, especially in the winter, that, everybody deserves shelter, okay? We are not bears, okay? We are not raccoons, we are not birds, we are not squirrels. We do not know how to make shelter, like, out of twigs and crap, okay? We are products of a society where we live in shelters that are manufactured for us. And plus we don't have very much hair. It is very dangerous for humans to be outside in the elements without any wind protection or bug protection or, any of that. It's deadly. Anytime it goes below 40 degrees, you are risking death being out in the elements without any protection. So it's a big deal when people have no shelter. And so I was like, I'm like with the Housing First model, I'm like, people need houses, and let's get anybody that wants to be in a house inside the house, and of course you can only have 5 people in there, and so that fills up instantly. And the people that go in the house are the drug users. Those are the people that went in the house. I don't know why that is. Maybe, yeah, they're the drug users. Like, they go inside. And it might be because they have trained themselves to be persistent. And I'm here to tell you, I do not believe everyone is ready to be in a house. Because you go in a house and and a person that is not ready to think about their addiction, what happens is they do more drugs and they steal more and they become more isolated. Housing first is not the complete answer. Housing first is an answer for some people, but not all the homeless. We have this neat and tidy theory about homelessness. Houses. These are people that don't have houses. They need to get houses. No, homelessness is more akin to like alcoholism or a disease or an illness or a condition. Homelessness is not the lack of a house. Homelessness is a complicated condition and has a variety of different reasons for being homeless, okay? And for you to say housing is the answer is laughable. I mean, another couple that the city housed in that, when they kicked out everybody and they're like, we're going to house everybody, and they housed like 35 of the 46 people. Another couple fell out of housing this week that got housed. They're outdoors. Housing is not the answer. Community is the answer, and I'm not going to ever take credit for that saying, because that was the saying of the guy that runs the Community First Village outside of Austin, Texas. I need to know his name. He said, housing will not solve homelessness, but community certainly will. And that is the truth. And putting people in a house does not make them part of a community. It, in fact, makes them more isolated. You have to be part of the community. The people, from now on, people that go in the houses will have to pay rent. They will have to pay their way. And if they don't have money, then they're going to have to work it in the community. They're going to have to put in at least 30 hours, 30 to 40 hours to live in that house if they don't have money, okay? That's the new theory. So basically, long story short, or long story pretty long, I'm throwing everybody out of that house and I'm starting over. Because housing first is not the answer. It's not. It's not housing. It's community. And putting people in a house with 4 or 5 other people is not community. It's isolation, and it's a platform on which to do more drugs and to steal more and prostitute more. That's it. That's it. It's worse. Housing is worse than living in a tent. It's worse. In the winter, I wish our tents had an electric heater. That's it. Then we're good. We're good. That's it. That's all they need. Some people. And when they're ready for housing, they will work on housing. Until then, they really just need a tent. They don't need a tiny house. They need a tent. You need a tent because you cannot live in the elements unprotected. And even the worst criminals get shelter. And these are not criminals. These are people that have been ravaged by the society. They've lost hope, and they have never seen hope. They have been born into families that never saw the heyday of Firestone and Goodyear. They've just been in poverty. Their parents were in poverty. Now they're in poverty, and they see nothing but poverty. They see no way out, and so they turn to drugs and hopelessness and theft and drug dealing. Because we live in a city that has the second highest concentration of poverty in the nation, next to Detroit. Of course this is what's going to happen. We can't just blame the poor people and the drug addicted. They became that for a reason. There was a cause that began the path down drug addiction and poverty, okay? And they go hand in hand. Poverty goes up, drug addiction goes up. It's just the way it is, okay? And that means that drug addiction is tied to the system and is tied to the society in which these people live. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that house. We're kicking everybody out this week. And then I'm hoping, and then Gary Mikes is going to run that house, and I'm hoping that maybe we can get some more volunteers in there and paint and clean it up. I'm going to get a dumpster again. We got a dumpster before. It got your trash. The backyard is again completely trashed. They scrap all night long, and they don't even scrap for good stuff. They just pull stuff out of dumpsters and bring it and throw it in the backyard like raccoons. It's crazy. All right. Stables is open. I got to go. I love you. I'll see you.